You don't feud. You don't fuel a feud in this environment. It's a team thing. Though it's a competition, it's not against.
The desert of Flagstaff has a way of cloaking secrets. At dusk, when the mountains stretch their shadows over the suburban sprawl, everything feels deceptively calm. Golden twilight settles across the rooftops, painting a picture of serenity that the Brown family has long relied on. To the neighbors, to the camera crews, to anyone peering in from the outside, they look like a family that has weathered storms and found something like peace. But peace is a fragile illusion. And in this house, illusion is a currency that costs more than anyone dares admit. Kody walks into the living room with that smile, the one he has worn so many times on camera. The rehearsed grin that suggests confidence, control, and charm, but never betrays the tempests brewing just behind his eyes. It's the smile that convinced 4 women to tie their lives to his. The smile that convinced the public that he was the head of something remarkable, something different, something enduring. But Christine has learned the difference between a real smile and the one Kody wears like armor. And tonight, when his lips stretch into that familiar mask, she doesn't see reassurance. She sees evasion. Robyn follows close behind him, smoothing her hair as though even her smallest gestures are meant to reassure the room that the world is still in order. She laughs softly, a laugh that feels practiced, a laugh that papers over cracks. She places herself close enough to Kody that no one could miss the alliance, but just far enough that she can still pretend it's not favoritism, not the kind of exclusivity that has fractured this family one painful year at a time. Christine doesn't laugh. She stands off to one side, her arms crossed tightly over her chest. Her lips pinch into a line as though she is holding back the sharp words already burning her tongue. She's been watching, quietly, intently, the way a hunter stalks something elusive. Janelle sits with a weariness Christine recognizes. The weight of financial burdens presses on her shoulders, the endless calculations of how to make things stretch further, how to balance what never truly balances. She listens, nods, but her eyes flicker with the distraction of someone carrying too much. And Meri? Meri watches everything with a silence that cuts sharper than words. She has learned to let silence speak for her, and tonight her silence is deafening. The family sits in the living room, discussing vague plans for the future, Coyote Pass, dreams of building, promises of togetherness. It should feel hopeful, but the air feels dense, suffocating. Every sentence Kody spins about family dreams rings hollow against the gnawing unease Christine can't shake. Because even as he speaks, his phone vibrates. At first, it seems like nothing. A quick glance, a flicker of a grin that doesn't fit the conversation. But Christine catches it. His eyes light in ways they never do when he speaks about his wives or his children. His thumb moves too quickly, too eagerly across the screen. And when Christine asks, lightly, what the message is, Kody waves it off. Just business, he says, eyes avoiding hers. Business. Always business. But Christine has lived long enough beside this man to know the difference between business and secrets. The way he sidesteps her gaze plants the first seed, and once planted, suspicion grows like wildfire. Later that evening, Christine steps outside to take out the garbage. The cool air brushes against her skin, heavy with desert stillness. A neighbor, tossing out her own trash, calls out casually, mentioning she's seen movers in the neighborhood. Strange hours, too, the neighbor says, not thinking twice. Saw someone who looked an awful lot like your husband the other night, couple blocks over. House I'd never even heard of. Maybe you're moving and didn't tell us? She laughs as she says it, tossing the bag into the bin, walking back inside without ever noticing the way Christine freezes. The words hang in the air, heavy and poisonous. Christine laughs politely in return, but her laugh is hollow. The neighbor doesn't see the way Christine's knuckles whiten as she grips the garbage bag tighter. Doesn't see the way her stomach drops, the way her breath falters. She tells herself it means nothing. People see things. People confuse things. But as she lies in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, she replays every late-night drive, every vague business meeting, every unexplained absence. Each memory stacks upon the next until they no longer feel dismissible. And if you think Christine is simply paranoid, wait until you see what she discovers next. The days that follow are heavy. Conversations feel strained. Every glance between Kody and Robyn is an unspoken message Christine can't yet decipher, but feels in her bones. Robyn slips up in small ways, almost saying something, catching herself too late, smoothing over a detail that should never have been questioned. Christine notices. And when Kody announces over dinner that he has business, again that evening, Christine forces a smile. She nods, she agrees, she plays the role she's expected to play. But inside, she makes a decision. Tonight, she won't let him disappear into the night without answers. She waits until his truck pulls out of the driveway. Then, heart pounding, she slides into her car, careful to keep distance as she follows. The streets of Flagstaff twist and curve like secrets themselves, old neighborhoods blending with new, shadows pooling beneath streetlights. Christine grips the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles ache. Kody turns into a part of town Christine doesn't recognize. Her heart drums against her ribs, each beat louder than the last. He slows. Stops. Christine pulls over a few houses away, watching as Kody steps out with a ring of keys in his hand. Her breath catches. He walks casually like a man coming home after a long day. He unlocks the door to a house she has never seen, never heard of. Lights flicker on inside. Shadows move across curtains. She sees him unload bags, sees the silhouette of comfort, ease. It could be nothing, she tells herself. It could be business, another property, an investment. Kody has spun that story before. But then, through the window, she sees a figure. Her breath halts in her throat. Robyn. Her face illuminated briefly in the glow of a lamp, smiling as though this is her sanctuary. Their sanctuary. Christine's heart pounds. The desert night presses in on her as the truth takes root. This isn't business. This isn't family. This is betrayal. Christine wakes the next morning, convincing herself it might have been a dream. She pours coffee, stares out the window, tells herself her mind is exaggerating. But then Robyn walks into the kitchen, humming lightly, and Christine notices the necklace around her neck. Elegant. Understated. Expensive. Something new. When Janelle asks casually where it came from, Robyn falters. Just a fraction of a second, just long enough for Christine to see it. Oh, Robyn says quickly, just an old thing I had stashed away. Christine doesn't respond. She only watches. And the watching becomes unbearable when, that evening, one of the children lets slip the truth no one was supposed to hear. At dinner, laughter and conversation fill the air, but then Solomon blurts it out without thinking. "Daddy, do we go home to the new house tonight?" The words fall like a hammer, silencing the table. Kody freezes. Robyn glares, her face sharp with fury and fear. Christine's fork trembles in her hand. She swallows hard, pretending she hasn't heard. Christine could have pretended. She could have brushed off Solomon's words, chalked them up to the imagination of a child. Children invent worlds, blur lines, confuse details. That's what she tells herself in the silence of her room later that night. But she knows better. She has lived too long in the shadow of Kody's evasions not to recognize the tremor in his voice, the way Robyn's eyes had widened in fury before masking it with a smile. If there had been nothing to hide, there would have been no silence at the dinner table. If there had been nothing to hide, Robyn would not have glared with such intensity it could cut glass. Christine lies awake, staring at the ceiling, the weight of betrayal pressing down on her chest. She replays every moment of that night. Solomon's words, Kody's stillness, Robyn's silence, the invisible walls that have been building between them all, brick by brick, suddenly towering higher than ever before. By morning, the tension has not loosened. It has tightened, coiled around her ribs like a serpent. She moves through the kitchen in practiced motions, cracking eggs, pouring coffee, smiling when expected. But her mind isn't in the room. It's across town, behind a door she was never supposed to know existed. She tells herself she needs proof. Proof beyond glances, beyond suspicions, beyond the slip of a child's tongue. Proof so undeniable that even Janelle, the practical one, could not look away. Proof so undeniable that even Meri, with her quiet endurance, would finally be forced to speak. And so Christine makes a decision. She will go back. Not at night this time, where shadows blur certainty, but in the light of day, where truth cannot be so easily disguised. The streets feel foreign as Christine drives. The desert sun casts everything in sharp relief, each line of the pavement, each curve of the sidewalk. She slows as she approaches the neighborhood, her breath uneven, her hands trembling against the steering wheel. Her heart races as the house comes into view. At first glance, it looks like any other. Perfectly ordinary. White trim, a neat driveway, shutters closed against the afternoon light. But Christine sees what others would miss. Children's bikes lean against the garage. Shiny, new, untouched by dust or rust. She knows the family's finances. She knows how tight things are supposed to be. New bikes are not bought when bills are unpaid. Not unless there's another source, another priority. Her stomach lurches. In the driveway sits an SUV she recognizes instantly. Robyn's. And then, the detail that nearly buckles her knees. Through the half-drawn blinds, just visible from the street, a framed picture on the wall. A family portrait. Robyn and her children, smiling, enshrined within the walls of a home that Christine has never entered, never even been told about. Her vision swims. The picture isn't just decoration. It's declaration. A statement that this house is already theirs. Already home. Already separate. Christine grips the steering wheel tighter. How long? How many nights? How much money diverted, rerouted, stolen from the family fund to build this hidden haven? Her eyes burn, but no tears fall. Not yet. Because the betrayal isn't just about the house. It's about what it means. Every vow Kody made about unity. Every promise of shared sacrifice. Every late-night speech about fairness, about commitment, about building something together. All of it crumbles beneath the weight of this hidden house. Christine tells no one that day. Not Janelle, not Meri. Not yet. To speak it aloud feels too dangerous, too final. Instead, she holds the secret like a burning coal in her chest, scalding her from the inside out. But Robyn's behavior makes it harder to contain. At breakfast the next morning, Robyn breezes in humming softly, her eyes brighter than they should be, her smile too quick, too polished. Christine notices the necklace again. Expensive. Untouched by wear. A piece that does not belong in the world of tight finances Kody speaks of so often. Janelle notices too. That's new, she says, not accusingly, just casually. Robyn freezes. Just for a moment. Then laughs nervously. Oh, this old thing? Had it tucked away for years. But Christine sees it. The stumble. The hesitation. The lie. And she stores it away with the rest. The bikes, the SUV, the portrait, Solomon's slip. The evidence mounts. The picture sharpens. The pressure builds in Christine until she feels like she might break at any second. She watches Kody move through the house, his words carefully chosen, his phone always close. She watches Robyn, more careful now, more watchful, but unable to hide the flickers of possession in her eyes whenever Kody is near. She watches Meri, silent, folding herself smaller and smaller into the corners of the family. And she watches Janelle, weary, stretched thin, trying to make the numbers work when the numbers will never work. Christine wants to scream, to tear the truth into the open, but she swallows it. Not yet. Not without proof she can place in Janelle's hands, something undeniable. And so she waits. She watches. She listens. But waiting comes at a cost. Every meal feels poisoned. Every conversation tastes bitter. Every laugh feels staged. The weight of what she knows presses harder with each passing day. She drives past the house again. And again. Each time the evidence grows heavier. One day, movers unload furniture from a truck. Not secondhand, not makeshift, but brand new. The kind of furniture you buy when you are building a forever home. Her stomach churns as she watches, her hands trembling against the steering wheel. It's real. This isn't paranoia. This isn't exaggeration. Kody has built a life without them. The camera of her mind zooms in on her face, pale with realization, lips quivering, eyes wide. She whispers into the silence of her car, a truth that will echo through every corner of this family's fractured world. It's real. Her voice shakes. He's building a life without us. The days that follow are unbearable. Christine's patience, always stretched thin, begins to shred entirely. Every word from Kody feels like poison. Every glance between him and Robyn feels like a dagger. Janelle begins to notice too, though she says nothing. Christine sees it in the way Janelle fidgets, the way her eyes narrow at odd moments, the way her lips press into a line whenever Kody dodges another question. Meri says even less, but Christine knows she sees. Meri's silence is a mirror, reflecting truths no one has yet spoken aloud. The weight grows heavier, unbearable. And Christine knows she can't carry it alone much longer. But if she tells Janelle, if she speaks the truth out loud, there will be no turning back. Because once the secret is exposed, the family will never be the same. And Christine must decide whether to ignite that fire. The air inside Christine's house felt heavy, thick with unspoken questions and gnawing suspicion. For weeks, she had carried the secret burden alone, haunted by the memory of Kody slipping into that hidden house on the far edge of town. She wanted to scream it from the rooftops, to shatter the false peace, but her heart still clung to the desperate hope that she was wrong. That maybe, just maybe, her eyes had deceived her. But the universe has a cruel way of confirming what we fear most. It happened on a quiet Sunday evening when the family gathered at Robyn's for dinner. The table was dressed, the food steaming, laughter forced but present. Christine sat with her children, forcing a smile as she tried to keep her nerves at bay. Kody was unusually cheerful that night, his arm resting along the back of Robyn's chair, his voice booming as he told stories that made only her laugh. And then, the slip. It came from Solomon. Young, innocent, unknowing of the storm his words would unleash. In the middle of dinner, between bites of mashed potatoes, he piped up with a child's honesty. "Daddy, are we going to sleep at the new house again tonight, or are we staying here?" The fork froze midway to Christine's mouth. Janelle's eyes widened. Meri blinked hard, her lips pressing thin. And Robyn gasped so sharply it was almost theatrical, her hand darting out to hush her son with a quick, "That's enough, soul." But it was too late. The words had been spoken. Christine felt her blood run cold. New house. The phrase echoed like thunder in her skull. She looked directly at Kody, waiting, daring him to meet her gaze. But he didn't. Instead, he chuckled awkwardly, ruffled Solomon's hair, and said, "Kids say the darndest things, huh?" The laughter that followed was hollow, strained. Christine's heart pounded. She wanted to leap across the table, to demand the truth right then and there, but something inside her, some fragile thread of control, held her back. Not here. Not in front of the children. Instead, she pushed her food around her plate, her appetite gone, her mind racing. Every moment after that felt like glass splintering beneath her skin. Robyn wouldn't meet her eyes. Kody overcompensated with loud stories and exaggerated smiles. And Christine sat in silence, her hands trembling beneath the table, her nails digging crescents into her palms. That night, when she returned home, the mask shattered. She wept in her bedroom, muffling her cries with a pillow so the children wouldn't hear. Betrayal, once just a whisper of suspicion, was now a living, breathing monster inside her chest. She saw the necklace, the secret visits, and now the slip of a child too young to know the weight of truth. It was real. All of it. The next morning, Christine made a choice. She would stop hiding from the truth. She would find it no matter how much it hurt. So she drove. She waited until Kody left under the guise of running errands, and followed at a distance, her pulse racing as the desert roads wound toward the place she dreaded. And there it was, the house. The one she'd seen before, half hidden behind trees. Only this time, there were cars in the driveway, children's bikes scattered across the lawn, curtains drawn tight, but glowing with warm light inside. Christine sat in her car across the street, gripping the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles turned white. She saw Kody step inside without hesitation, without secrecy this time, as though this house had always been his true home. Her vision blurred with tears. She wanted to scream, to smash the illusion he had so carefully built, but she couldn't move. She sat there for what felt like hours, her body trembling, her soul cracking open under the weight of reality. When she finally drove away, the words repeated in her head like a death knell. He's living a double life. He's building a family without me. Without us. That night, Christine collapsed onto her bed, the walls closing in, the silence screaming louder than any fight ever had. The vows of unity, the promises of forever, the faith she had clung to, it was all ashes now. And yet, beneath the heartbreak, a flicker of something else began to stir. Not anger, not yet, but clarity. The kind of clarity that comes only when denial finally dies. For the first time, Christine whispered the truth aloud into the darkness of her empty room. I can't do this anymore. The words felt like both a betrayal and a liberation. And in that moment, the cracks in the facade grew wider, threatening to break the family apart forever. Christine woke up with swollen eyes, her body heavy from a night of restless sobs. The desert morning sunlight cut through her blinds, harsh and unfeeling, as though even nature had no sympathy for the storm raging inside her. The truth was no longer a whisper. It was a roar. She had seen the house. She had seen the life Kody was building behind their backs. She had heard it slip from Solomon's innocent mouth. And now she could not unsee it, could not unknow it. For days, Christine carried the weight alone, moving through her routines with a ghostly detachment. She smiled at her children, made their meals, carried conversations, but inside, she was screaming. Every time Kody brushed past her with his cologne lingering in the air, she wanted to ask him, "Who do you smell nice for, if not me?" Every time he excused himself for meetings or errands, she wanted to shout, "What house are you going to?" But she didn't. Not yet. Because she knew this truth was too big to hold by herself. She needed someone else to see it, to carry it, to confirm that she wasn't losing her mind. And there was only one person she trusted with the full weight of it. Janelle. Christine dialed her number one quiet evening, her voice trembling as she asked, "Can you come over? I need to talk. Alone." When Janelle arrived, she carried her usual air of calm, the quiet strength that Christine had leaned on so many times before. But tonight, Christine's face told her everything before words were even spoken. The red eyes, the clenched jaw, the way she twisted her hands together nervously. "What's wrong?" Janelle asked gently, sitting across from her at the kitchen table. Christine hesitated. Her throat felt tight. Saying it out loud would make it real. But the dam had broken, and the words spilled out in a torrent. "Janelle, I followed him. I saw him. There's a house. A new one. And he's been staying there, with Robyn and her kids." The silence that followed was suffocating. Janelle blinked, her mouth parting in disbelief. "What do you mean a house? Christine, are you sure?" Christine nodded furiously, tears brimming in her eyes. "I saw it with my own eyes. Cars in the driveway, toys in the yard. He walked in like he belonged there. And Sol, at dinner the other night, he slipped. He called it the new house. Robyn tried to cover it, but it's true. I'm not crazy. I'm not imagining this. He's living another life, Janelle. A life without us." Janelle's composure wavered for the first time in years. She leaned back in her chair, her hand covering her mouth, her brow furrowing as if the weight of it all pressed down on her at once. This can't be happening," she whispered. "He promised us. He promised unity, one family, one vision. We sacrificed for that land. Christine, I've been scraping by, stretching every dollar for years, because he swore it would all be worth it in the end. And now you're telling me he's building a house for her?" Christine's tears spilled over, her voice breaking. Not just a house, Janelle. A life. A home. The kind of home we begged him for. He gave it all to her. And we're left with scraps. Janelle slammed her hand on the table, the sound startling in the quiet room. Her voice shook, not from fear, but from rage that had been building for years. All this time, she muttered, all this time I thought it was favoritism, that he just gave her more attention. But this is betrayal. He's been lying to us, to the kids, to everyone. And he used our money to do it. Christine reached across the table, gripping Janelle's hand with desperation. I needed you to know. I couldn't carry it alone anymore. Janelle's eyes softened, glistening with unshed tears. You're not crazy, Christine. You're not alone. I believe you. And if this is true, if he's really done this, we can't keep pretending. The two women sat in silence, the air thick with shared grief. For years, they had borne the weight of sacrifice together, held each other through the loneliness of plural marriage, trusted Kody's vision when it cost them their own dreams. But now the mask had been ripped away, and what remained was betrayal too deep to ignore. Christine whispered the words that had been haunting her since that night in the car. It's real. He's building a life without us. Janelle squeezed her hand, her jaw set with grim resolve. Then we're going to make him face it. No more secrets. No more excuses. He doesn't get to do this to us. And in that moment, two wives who had once been bound by faith and duty were now bound by something else, truth. The confrontation had not yet come, but the storm was gathering. And this time, Kody would not be able to charm or gaslight his way out of it. This time, the women had seen behind the curtain, and they would never unsee it again. The next morning broke heavy over Flagstaff, not with rain, but with tension so thick Christine could feel it in her bones. She had finally said the words aloud, finally shared the burden with Janelle. And though that brought some relief, it also unleashed something new, momentum. For weeks, Christine had carried the secret in silence, choking on it, living in fear of being dismissed as paranoid. Now, she was no longer alone. Janelle believed her. Janelle had seen the fire in her eyes, had felt the truth in her trembling voice. And once you let a secret breathe, it grows. That day, Christine woke up knowing she could not turn back. The wheels of confrontation had been set in motion. A quiet pact Christine and Janelle met again, this time in Janelle's kitchen. The air smelled of coffee and something stronger, defiance. We can't go to him without more proof, Janelle said, her voice low but steady. If we confront him too soon, he'll twist it. He'll gaslight us, like he always does. He'll say we misunderstood, or that it's a business move. You know how he is. Christine nodded, though the thought made her sick. I've seen the furniture, Janelle. The pictures. Robyn's necklace. Solomon's slip at dinner. How much more proof do we need? Enough to make it undeniable. Enough so Meri sees it too. The mention of Meri hung in the air. For so long, Meri had been the forgotten wife, sidelined, spoken to like an afterthought. But in truth, she was a critical piece. If Christine and Janelle stood together, Kody could write it off as jealousy. But if Meri stood with them, then the last pieces of Kody's power would shatter. Christine hesitated. Do you think she'll believe us? Or will she run to him? Janelle sighed. Meri wants so badly to still matter to him. But I think deep down she already knows. She's been living on crumbs for years. Maybe this is what finally wakes her up. Christine gripped her mug tightly, the heat biting into her palms. Then we tell her, but carefully. The two women sat in silence for a moment, each lost in thought. They knew they were standing on the edge of something irreversible. Once Meri knew, the secret would no longer belong to them. It would belong to the whole family. And once that happened, the storm would break. The unraveling Meri had always been an enigma. Strong yet fragile, outspoken yet silenced, loyal to a dream that had long since turned into a nightmare. She had endured humiliation after humiliation, Kody dismissing her affection, belittling her contributions, erasing her place in the family while parading Robyn as the beloved. And still, she stayed. But even loyalty has limits. And Christine was betting this would be Meri's. One late afternoon, Christine invited her over under the guise of needing help with a household project. Meri arrived, cautious as ever, her guarded smile betraying the exhaustion in her eyes. They made small talk at first, about work, about the kids, about trivial things that filled the air while the unspoken truth pulsed beneath the surface. Finally, Christine couldn't hold it any longer. "There's something I need to tell you," she said softly, her voice trembling. Meri looked up, startled by the seriousness in her tone. "What is it?" Christine swallowed hard, forcing the words out. "Kody bought a house. A new one. In Robyn's name. And he's been living there, behind our backs." The silence that followed was suffocating. Meri blinked rapidly, her face cycling through disbelief, confusion, and something sharper, hurt. "What are you saying?" she whispered. "I'm saying he built a home for Robyn." "A home, Meri. Not just an investment property. A place for her and her kids. A place he never told us about." Meri shook her head, as if trying to physically repel the truth. No, he wouldn't. He couldn't. He's always talked about the land, about us being together." Christine leaned forward, desperate for her to believe. "I saw it, Meri. With my own eyes. Movers unloading furniture. Robyn's kids' toys in the yard. Their family picture hanging on the wall.